Something about me is that earlier this year I had hip surgery, and I'm doing fine. I'm walking around. I can stand on one leg, but I may at some point need to sit down if I'm standing too long while I'm speaking. So sorry if that's not as super interesting. And I work for MindShare. MindShare is a media agency. We were formed by the merger of the media departments of J. Walter Thompson and Ogilvy and Mather. So as a result, what I'm very interested in is how people use media. See, is this, which way do I, there we go. And the study I'm going to talk about is, oops, too far, is a longitudinal type study where we, a company called Merlien Institute went to 2,000 respondents. This was a recontact of the MRI National Survey of the American Consumer, and it was a national probability sample of people who were between the ages of 18 and 64. And you're going to say, well, gee, nationally, we don't have a representative sample of smartphone users. The study did give smartphones, a little stripped-down version of a smartphone, to people who didn't already own one. So that was a little incentive to people who didn't have a smartphone to participate in the study. And the data were merged back to the MRI study at the end so we could cross-tab against any of the information in MRI. Now, what the study entailed was consumers answering a few questions about their media use every 30 minutes across the day for 10 days. And they were doing this on an app that was on the phone. Now, you know, you don't always like to have the phone on all during the entire day. You know, so you're sleeping, you don't want it on. Maybe you've got a private moment and you don't want to be on the phone. And in fact, there was some research that just came out recently, and forgive me for not remembering the exact number, but something like 20% of 20-somethings said that they used their smartphone to text while they were having sex. So, I don't know. That was not one of the response choices in this survey. And I'll also tell you that we did, at MindShare, we've been doing this kind of longitudinal research for 10 years. And our first study doing this used a Palm Pilot. And doing it on smartphones is a lot easier. So what were people asked? We wanted to know where they were, what kind of activities they were engaged in. You know, in other words, were they traveling to work? Were they at home? Were they in a class? We wanted to know who they were with. That's what social setting means. What media they were using. And the media was broad, like watching TV, on your mobile, listening to the radio. But it got into some level of specificity. If they were watching TV, for example, there was a short list of broadcast and cable networks and a list of program genres. So we got some detail, but not a lot. This was intended to be an overview. And at the end of the day, they were given a short questionnaire on their phone so they could talk about things that you don't do regularly, like shopping and going to the movies and so forth. And what's nice about this kind of technique is using an app on the mobile phone. If people who are smartphone users are pretty facile with apps, and they can do it pretty easily. The app happened to have an instructional video that explained what to do. It had frequently asked questions for people to ask, and there was even a helpline. If you got stymied, just call the helpline. And people were allowed to update their status every 90 minutes if they needed more time. So we wanted them to do it every 30 minutes, but if it took them 90 minutes, okay, we could live with that. And when they did go on and put in their data, it only took about 90 seconds. It was a pretty fast, easy survey. And in order for the data to qualify to be in the results, they had to provide 7 days of full data, and a full day meant at least 16 half hours of data. And they also had to provide good weekend data, good Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, you're going to say, how do you keep people engaged with this kind of a survey for 10 days? It's a long time to be doing your study and to be answering every half hour. Well, we used focus group recruiters to recruit the people, and given that they were part of the MRI sample, they were already known responders. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with MRI. People who participate in MRI fill out a 125-page booklet about all their product usage. So we knew these were people who were willing to participate in surveys. And using focus group recruiters, we wanted people who were experienced in getting respondents to want to participate in the study. And they talked to the respondent. They said, you know, can we count on you to do this study? And really tried to build a relationship with them. The incentive didn't hurt. It did vary by respondent, by difficulty of recruiting, but it ranged from $100 to $200, which is fairly significant. Respondents did get reminder texts throughout the day if they didn't fill out the questionnaire, or just remind them to go do it. And back at the ranch, there were compliance flags. So anytime people were not filling out the survey, the research company knew, and they knew that within 90 minutes, if somebody hasn't filled out their survey, they needed to be called. And that was an important aspect of this. They weren't just text, they were called. There was the personal touch, and that personal touch and relationship, we feel, was something that really helped keep people engaged in doing the study. Also, at the end of the day, this little survey about shopping and movie-going and stuff gave them a little chance to blow off steam and, if they wanted to. Now, it turned out that most people filled out the study all 10 days of the survey. And they filled it out approximately 15 times a day, although you can see from this, by day 10, they were not filling it out every half hour as much as they were at the beginning of the study, which makes sense, but that's what it was. Most of them said that they thought the task was easy, and almost everybody said that they believed they provided complete and accurate information. So what I'm going to do now, since we're a media agency, is show you how we use some of the data we got for 2 different clients to come up with some interesting media ideas. The first one is The Last Stand. How many of you went to see The Last Stand? Okay. Dude, okay. Well, our job was to position The Last Stand as the must-see action movie of January. Okay. Well, there was a lot of competition in January, a number of movies coming out. There, football playoffs. There's a lot of things competing for attention. And okay, Arnold's first movie in many years. And okay, well, maybe Johnny Knoxville's good. Okay, so one of the insight that our comms planning team had about the target was that guys love to be guys. And they're hungry, they like to eat, especially in January. So that was where we came from. And from that, we came up with this concept of dude time. And dude time was defined as when guys between the ages of 18 and 49 were hanging out with their friends, they're in a good mood, they're doing things that are fun, relaxing, socializing, sports, hobbies, entertainment. All of these are items that are in the Touchpoints study. Now, conversely, we figured they would not be as receptive to a message about an action movie when they were with their partner, their spouse, and they were feeling sort of negative emotions, a little bored, frustrated, overwhelmed, angry, sad. I was not thrilled with calling this nag time, but the team liked nag time, so nag time it is. And what we learned from the study is that nag time happens a whole lot more than dude time. Not surprising, not surprising. And both of these things peak in the evening, okay? All right, but also around lunchtime, there seems to be an interesting, a little bit more dude than nag. Okay, so that's one of the things. And then, what media are they using during dude time? Well, they're watching TV. Usually hanging around with their buds, watching sports. They're on their mobile phones, and they're also listening to radio and sports. Okay, and where is this most likely going to be happening? At somebody else's house. Okay. So let's take a look at the last. Oh, wait a minute. Let's take a look at the video. What we were looking at to reach guys during dude time, we were thinking that the theatrical movie we would position as guys' night out and try to do things with the movie theaters, maybe turn them into man caves, make it more of a dude kind of experience to be there. And the home entertainment, because that's very important for a movie company as well, would be guys' night in, and bring in the movie. But importantly, for any effort that you do nowadays, you have to be always on. And we had there's a website that was All Things Arnold, and I guess it'll be up in a minute very quickly. An online destination that would provide all kinds of information about Arnold for all of those Arnold fans. Okay, and I mentioned earlier that sports and watching TV was very important, so we wanted to dominate the football coverage that was taking place that year, partnering with CBS to do interviews and to do things with the playoffs, as well as having a contest on CBS Radio, because radio was another one that was important, where people could win a trip to Mexico. If you didn't know, the movie was about a drug cartel trying to get drugs across the border into Mexico. So going to Mexico to see the killers, the tie-in and all that. Okay? All right, so that's the last stand. The other case study is Huggies diapers, and Huggies obviously appeal to moms, and our objective here was to reach and inspire moms. And we used the study to find out where mom is spending her day. The nice thing about a study that looks at people across an entire day every half hour is that you can do these very nice day-in-the-life charts, and you can see how media usage happens during the day. TV obviously peaks in the evening. It's a pretty dominant force for every target all the time. But you can see there's a lot of different kinds of digital activities going on online, social media, mobile, and so forth. So we delved a little bit deeper into their online behavior, and we saw that over the course of a week, 81% of moms are online, 51% are using web apps on both their mobile and the web, and 92% are using social media. So there's a lot of online activity, and moms like going online because it keeps them up to date and gives them information. Moms are information sponges, especially when they have their first child and they need a lot of information about everything relating to their child. So online is a great place to give them a lot of information. Some of their top activities are getting parenting information, looking for recipes, sharing photos, doing instant messaging, as well as paying bills and listening to music. Okay. So how did we use this information? Obviously, there was a lot of TV for the product, but let's take a look at what we were doing online. We knew that social media was very important, so we felt it was important to do activities in social. We knew they were on the internet for information, so Test Town was a way of providing information from them in the online format, and we also did some mobile activities. Okay. So on social, we were using Facebook and going to their online stories where people can write in with activities or with things that they did with their children or things that were useful and informative for their children, because social's important. We used mobile to reach them near the times that they were shopping. So these are a couple of different executions. The one 10 on the side, you can see there's a banner. 10 provides a lot of information. There was online video that people could go and look at the video, and even going to shopping sites. And if mom's out shopping, maybe she needs diapers, let's put a Huggies banner ad there. Okay. And then finally, just another way that we reached mom online. This is on AOL and on the Huffington Post HuffPost Parents, where, again, looking for a lot of information. Mom can click on the banner. It gets bigger. She sees an online video. She gets a lot of advice about Huggies and diaper training and things like that. And that's what I have. I mean, did I go real fast here? Did I? Because I had a couple of things we learned that are I think are best practices, and other people have commented on some of the things, but a few things that we've learned in doing mobile studies. One of the things that's really important is to normalize your time zones, especially if you're doing a media study. You want to be able to look at time frames of people and not look at people at the same time. You want to look at them in the right time in their time zone. Other speakers have talked about the limitations of the screen. Keep it short and simple. Another thing that's important is to periodically verify that the survey actually got to their telephone, because sometimes there is a glitch, there's a problem, and you should double check periodically. We knew it was important to let respondents complete the survey retroactively, but avoiding too much of a time delay, and that it was important to give them the ability to turn it off if they wanted to. So that was kind of our learnings. Okay. Question? Okay, the question was how long are the data good? The original intention with this survey, with the Touchpoints study, was to redo it every year. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. But I think the data can stand for a few years. I would think every couple of years you'd want to refresh it. But it is a very expensive endeavor, this kind of study.
Okay, we do have a question on here, so I need to do this so we can
All
do
right.
this app, right? But there also is in here Royal Baby James, and I don't know if that refers to Cape Middleton, or maybe I'm missing something here. Oh. Peter, if you could clarify that.
It's the answer to Minneapolis' question.
Oh, okay. Okay, further down.
Are they using Huggies?
Oh, okay. And it has to do with Huggies, right? Is this USA Touchpoints, was the question?
Yes, it is.
Okay.